flag is over here.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. Tonight, Mr. Danlick, the principal of Mountain Valley High School, will welcome us all.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Mountain Valley High School. I'll make this brief. I know we have a full agenda here this evening, and Michael's here, so I don't want to steal anything from him. Overall, we have gotten off to a really smooth start here for the 24-25 school year. Just a couple of statistics to share with you. Our attendance is showing improvement relative to last year at this time. We're down about 10 or 11% of chronic absenteeism from last school year to this school year, but we know that that's a marathon, not a sprint. So we're going to keep on that and keep working diligently to have our students come to school as much as possible. Our behavior data is also moving in the right direction as well. We have seen a 17% decrease so far in ODRs, which is students being written up or sent to the office. And that's 17% decrease from last year and a 45% decrease from 2 years ago. And that is a test to Mr. Millage and all the work that he does here as our assistant principal. I've been incredibly impressed with our staff and students. We got right here and got to work, got to teaching, got to learning. It's been a really good already almost 7 weeks of school. We're approaching the end of the first quarter already, but we're excited for a great school year at Mountain Valley. Hope we have a great meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 3 is consideration of the minutes. We have 2 to approve the minutes of the September 23rd and October 1st meetings of the Western Foothills Regional School Unit number 10 School Board Meeting minutes as written. We'll do September 23rd first. Motion for that?
To move.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made by Peter, seconded by Janet. Any omissions or errors? Seeing none, all in favor? Darcy?
She's had some technical difficulties.
Okay. All right, well, that motion passes, so, okay, one abstention. I would entertain a motion for the October 1st minutes. Motion made by Allison, seconded by Peter. Discussion, errors or omissions? And Ed?
I was present.
What?
Patty Down is absent.
Oh, okay,
So with that change.
yeah. I don't know if Darcy had a, is she online?
I see it online. She texted me. She said she's having some issues getting her mic to work.
Okay. Well, we adjusted the minutes for her concern, correct?
No, that was it.
That were okay. So, any other errors or omissions on October 1st minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That motion carries. Okay. And one abstention, right? Thank you. Okay, this is a time for public comments. For the public to comment in person at school board meetings. And first up, we have Amy Bernard from Rumford.
Hello, my name is Amy Bernard. I have a 4th grader at Roby. I sent you all an email over the weekend and pretty much outlines my concerns about what's going on at the school district. I feel like we have lack of leadership going on from the top down. We've had multiple incidents at the elementary schools where students are violent towards other students and towards staff. This has been going on for over a year. The administration is well aware of this, and nothing has changed. So I'm just not sure where we're going and how we're going to get forward if our staff is not feeling safe. Our students aren't feeling safe. I have made comments and called the principal in May about an incident, never received a phone call back. I am really concerned about the lack of a plan for the 5th through 8th graders, considering that we have known about this issue since 2015. We knew there was mold in that building since 2015, and we have not come up with a contingency plan other than to remote learn. Most parents have to work. How are you going to teach your child in 5th and 6th, 7th and 8th grade when you have to work for a living? In my letter, my email to you, I am formally asking for Deb to resign. I do not feel like we have the leadership that we need to move forward. I'm asking that you do an investigation as to how we got here, and we move forward pending that investigation. We've asked staff for information, and we've been told that the superintendent has told us not to give out those numbers. This is public information, and we're being told that we aren't supposed to ask. How are we going to move forward? We can't trust the information that's coming from the administration. That's all.
Thank you. Amanda Hamner, Mexico. We don't ask questions. Sorry, I did not get an email.
Hi guys, bear with me as I'm losing my voice tonight. Let me introduce myself. I'm Amanda Hamner, a Mexico town resident, a parent of 2 school-age children, 1 in the middle school and 1 at Morobe. I volunteer within the walls of our school, and this year have become a substitute teacher in the RSU community. Today, I stand behind Amy in her desire and request to resign Superintendent Deb Aldrin. Due to her poor leadership and decision-making skills, it has become increasingly apparent that her actions, or lack thereof, are not in the best interest of our district. Her lack of effective communication, failure to take responsibility, and inability to create a positive work environment has led to the decline in morale and productivity. It is crucial for the future of RSU10 that we have a leader who is capable of making sound and ethical decisions to benefit staff and students. Therefore, I urge the Board of Directors to consider the greater good of our community and pursue her resignation. We, as a community, voted each one of you in. We trusted you to provide the best education and learning environment. Now, I stand before you and ask you to show your community that you care. This district is in dire need of positive change and leadership to effectively address all of our challenges, not just remote learning. I'd like to say we need a leader like Dr. Carrie Luce. She has brought this district innovative ideas, a strong commitment to improving student outcomes, creating more effective learning environments for all students. It has been brought to my attention that after the first year of the new school, this district will be going down to 1 principal. How can 1 principal keep over 1,000 students and staff safe when we can't even do that in the walls of Morobe? If this district says goodbye to Dr. Carol Luce, the impact will be detrimental. Myself, along with many other parents and faculty, feel Dr. Carrie Luce is the most important asset to our district today. Her passion, education, compassion, and attentiveness to arising issues is unmatched. I have it on great authority that if we lose Dr. Carrie Luce, we will also be receiving the resignations of too many staff members. Staff we can't afford to lose. We can't even fill our positions now. So with all of that being said, let me quickly go over a few.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I'd like to remind you, we have a 3-minute public
Okay.
comment, so please wrap it up.
Quickly, yep.
Thank you.
There is no contingency plan for the buildings. We were told years ago that RES and MBS needed to be replaced. Where does it say that outside of COVID-19 that remote learning is even acceptable? One thing COVID taught us was that remote learning doesn't work. The mold problem has been an issue since Ryan Casey was our principal. He had his office outside the hallways for months due to the mold in his office. This is not an 18-hour problem. The problem is that our administration was not prepared and took no preventative actions. The union hosted a vote of confidence 2 or 3 years ago. The union met with the superintendent and came up with an agreement. None of those changes have been made. 2 principals left the district. No exit interview was held. Why? On Friday, September 6th, every parent received the same text at 2:09. There was a report of a suspicious package. The fire station, and for everyone's safety, we, transportation, are instructed by police not to travel below Cumberland Street. If you're bused, blah, blah, blah. Basically, we bust kids to Ralph's. Who knows where the new fire station is? Who knows where Ralph's is? These are low-income families without cars, and we told them, you have 20 minutes to go get your kids at Ralph's. Thankfully, there was no bomb, and no kids were harmed. But what if? What if they were getting off that bus at Ralph's? Over 30 faculty members came together to fight with their union to file complaints of unsafe work environments. They were told a committee would be formed. A single meeting has been held and nothing has been done or changed to date. There is currently no hot water at Morobe. My son thinks that red juice was put into the hot water. And if he drinks the hot water, he'll be drinking red juice. They can't wash anything at Morobe because of the inefficient hot water. There is also only one acceptable drinking source at Morobe, in the kindergarten wings. Students have to go, no matter where they are in the school, to kindergarten. This is just the beginning of my list. There are so many, many more stories that should be shared. I do know that my time is limited, so I will be back for further meetings, for further stories, as we pursue the resignation and find a better leader, because it is our leader. Without a strong leader, we are nothing. Thank you for your time and this consideration in this important and pressing matter.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't
No.
know anything about this list, and it's like pointing on.
You, we had public comment. We're gonna move on now.
Is it posted that you have to sign up for public comment?
Yes,
Okay, I apologize, I must have missed
it's
that.
right here. It was right there. It's right there every meeting. Right before the meetings, along with the agendas.
Right where?
Right where the agendas are, on the chairs.
Okay, I came in, I didn't grab one, I just needed 90 seconds. Is that?
Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah,
Thank you,
somebody
I appreciate
handed
it.
me mine, I didn't go up there.
You're not even, are you a resident of the district?
I am.
No, I don't think so, but that's okay. Yeah,
I promise you, it's a 90-second timer.
please.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brad Plant. Is this better? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brad DeLant. I've lived in Rumford since 2002, with 3 children through the Mountain Valley school system. Currently live with 2 students who attend Mountain Valley Middle School. Sat on the RSU10 Schoolboard 14 and 15, was a member of the Building and Grounds Committee. I've had several discussions with various people about the issues at Mountain Valley Middle School. It should be noted, there were issues long before the school year. It was recommended we work toward closing that building back when I was on the school board. That being said, my specific issue is the way which these last 4 or 5 months has been handled regarding communication. As I understand it, we've had staff and students sick on and off for a while. This school year, the number of sick staff and students was an obvious statistical anomaly. That and the severity in which the 8th grader in my home was sick really pulled me into this. Prior to that, I had no reason to doubt the district. I had no reason to doubt, no reason not to think that the staff and the students were in the best interest and were what was at heart for the school administration at RSU10. I felt what needed to be done would be done. I no longer feel that way. I feel information was not shared in a timely manner starting back in May, June, the air quality tests. I feel information and concerns shared by staff going back to the beginning of the 23-24 school year, which was expressed to administration, was not shared. I have concerns about the fidelity about the August test and the air quality. That was what was used to get our schools reopened, by the way. I've got concerns that the only focus or care has been toward, let's get this new building open. I understand there are costs associated with cleaning, keeping the building running smoothly. I understand there needs to be a cost-benefit analysis regarding how we take care of our buildings, especially the one that's going to be a pile of rubble very shortly. I feel the ball was dropped in this situation and the district was negligent. I've made a freedom of access request. Deb, thank you for giving me that information. I know that the request will take some time. It's going to cost $450 and take at least 2 weeks after the school, or after the kids are put into a building. I probably will be submitting a revised request in the interest of not wasting too much time. I would encourage the school board, however, to consider what I requested and ask for some of the information I requested, because a lot of that information will support why I'm upset about this. Ultimately, I feel the ball was dropped in this situation. I don't feel students and parents were informed as quickly or as accurately as possible. I don't feel staff's concerns addressed to the central office were taken as seriously as they should have been. I feel the central office, at least in part, failed to do what was best for the students and staff.
I have one from residents.
No, we're all done. Okay, we'll move on to item 5, communication and correspondence. And to start off with, I would like to welcome Michael Chase, the Mountain Valley High School student rep for this coming year. And you have anything you'd like to report?
Yes, thank you. Our homecoming took place not last week, at the end of September. Students got to enjoy our pep rally on Friday before finishing their floats and having a successful parade. Members of the community were glad to see that we handed out books as well as candy because our theme was children's stories. That was concluded with our dance on Saturday, which was held in our gym. And last week we had NUIA testing, which is our state testing that took place for 9 to 11th graders. The tests were taken during math and English classes, and students who missed those will finish them this week and next week during their free periods. And the last thing I have is that the PSAT for juniors was canceled for this Saturday due to power outages, and it should be rescheduled soon. We're ending our first quarter, and fall sports are also coming to an end. Both very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Okay, I have a report from Buckfield Junior Senior High School, Noah Smith, who was unable to make it tonight, but he writes, "Dear School Board, school has been moving along well. Homecoming week at Buckfield went off without a hitch. The high school girls soccer team is almost undefeated with a 10-1 record. The high school boys soccer team has had a more challenging season with a 4-win, 5-tie, and 3 loss. This season has been the most interesting as they played Mountain Valley High School twice and tied twice. The middle school soccer teams have moved conferences from Cumberland County League to Capital Area League. This keeps their games closer while still keeping up the competition. The civil rights team has met and have started designing posters. The math team had their first meet and have scored almost the same amount of points as their record points in last year's season. The music program is preparing for multiple auditions, and their first concert is coming up next month. Though most of the year has gone off without a hitch, there has been some complications due to scheduling, which has limited which classes some of the students have been able to take. Thank you for your support. Noah Smith, Buckfield Junior Senior High School student rep. Upcoming meetings. Tomorrow night, October 16th at 4 o'clock, the Finance Committee will meet. These meetings will be at Buckfield Junior Senior High School. At 5 o'clock, we'll have a Policy Committee meeting. And well, at 6 o'clock, the Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation meeting will be down there at Buckfield at 6 o'clock. October 28th, our school board meeting will be here at 6:30 at Mountain Valley High School Cafe. And we'll move on to committee reports. Personnel Committee, we did not meet, right? Policy met, right? We didn't have,
Not since the
tomorrow.
last meeting.
Okay, right. Finance,
That's tomorrow.
tomorrow. Buildings and Grounds, that's tomorrow. Negotiations update,
We met tonight to
Yeah.
organize to negotiate with the central office
Central.
technology group.
Region 9, Peter?
We had our meeting back on the 1st of October, and hasn't been anything since.
Okay. Region 11, Chad is not on.
There he is.
Chad, you want to report out on Region 9, Region 11? Yeah. Chad, are you there? Can you hear us? Are you muted? All right. One more time, Chad, are you there? Okay.
We can mention
Yeah.
that we attended last Thursday night. We attended the joint meeting. It's an annual joint meeting. We had probably 5 or 6 members of this school board. And we met with the school board of Region 11 and the school board of SAD 17. There we go.
Right, Oxford Hills, yep, and had a nice joint
Had a
meeting.
wonderful,
Nice
and a
meal.
wonderful meal from the
Yep.
culinary arts.
Okay, we did have a curriculum meeting, right?
Not since last meeting.
Not since last meeting. We're meeting on November 20th next.
All right, okay. Better start writing this down. Okay, we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Okay. A couple things I want to mention first, just to be really clear, because a couple things have been said that are not true. And one is the administration for our new school, Mountain Valley Community School, is 2 principals and 2 assistant principals. We have folks in those positions right now, and I assume they will stay in those positions unless they choose to go somewhere else, and we will open that school with 2 principals and 2 assistant principals. And I thought that had been what was going on, but obviously that hasn't been clear to people. So that's one thing. And the other thing, and I had it in my notes too, is the behavior committee work that's been going on, and we've had 3 school board members on it, as well as teaching staff and members of the association. And we have had 3 meetings, and I think by indications of what I've heard from folks on that committee, they feel it's gone well. We have more work to do. Crystal Doogie has led those, facilitated those meetings, and she's done a wonderful job. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear and out there as well. Just some other things. Landry French has begun taking our students on tours of the new building site, and I think they were the first round. They were really excited about doing that, and we plan to do a lot more. The furniture committee for the new building is going to do a kickoff meeting on October 30th with Harriman's. They do work with that, with MES, RES, and MVMS, and we've got somebody from every grade level and each area, like a person from art and music and things like that, to work on that. And they'll have a kickoff meeting and then go off into the separate groups to work specifically on things. Hartford, Sumner, and Buckfield Junior Senior High
The DOE came and 4 members toured those buildings very thoroughly, and with Devin and myself and the administrators. And we did find out that there's been 100 applications for school buildings projects. So that's a little disheartening, but, and then we had on October 2nd, the community forum, and about 30 people attended that, and that they shared the, Harriman shared the architectural study and options. So that's ongoing. The budget for next year, we'll be beginning the work on that in November. And one of the things we have to have in the budget are the costs that we would have to associate with moving into the building. So one of the things is, as we look at the move from each of those other buildings, or the other 2 buildings, and wherever we are with Mountain Valley Middle School, we're looking at a week for each building to move in. And so the business manager, Leah Callback, and myself figured out what the cost would be for those 5 days if we had to make those 5 days up at the end of the school year. And it was going to be $217,000. So we submitted a letter to MDOE to see if they would consider waiving those days. It's up to you folks to agree to it or not, but I wanted to see if they would consider waiving those 5 days in each, in the new school, so that we wouldn't have to add that cost. And they agreed that they would waive those, so we have that opportunity for those days. Yeah.
Where did the 5-day figure come from? Is that a union contract thing? Like, where does that figure come from?
No, if we didn't have school for students for 5 days,
right,
in order to move in,
right,
with staff,
right,
setting up their rooms and things like that. If we did that for 5 days,
right. But my question is, why do we need 5 days? Like, why is it? Where did we get the 5-day figure from?
just we asked different. I asked the builders and the architect.
Okay.
Like how about what
like what's typical?
What would now? The best case scenario is you do it over the summer, but we can't. So, so that's where we have to do it during the school year. So that's where it came from.
Okay.
So, and that's not a done deal. I just wanted to preemptively make sure we didn't have to put that money in the budget.
If we decide to accept the waiver for the days, right?
If we accept the waiver, we don't have to put that money in the budget.
Right.
Because we're not paying an extra 5 days to all staff in that building to have school.
Right.
An extra 5 days on the end.
Right. And during the 5 days of move, kids would just be home and staff would be moving. There wouldn't be remote learning, obviously, because teachers would be moving.
Right, right. It would be 5 days of no school.
And you said winter is likely.
Right. I mean, we were first hoping, well, not hoping, I mean, looking at the 3 weeks in December, first week, second week, third week. I have asked Landry French to look long and hard to see if we could get into the middle school part by the 1st of November.
Okay.
Which you'll know why I've asked for that later on. But, and they're considering it. I mean, they're considering to see if they could possibly do that. Okay, what else? I think that was it. Yes.
Okay, we do not have any administrative department reports tonight. You want to run down through the
Sure.
resignations?
We have several resignations. Kelsey Salatino LeBreton has decided to stay home with her new little one. And so she has resigned. And Crystal accepted a resignation of Mary Milchowski from WFRP, an ed tech up there. And And David Briggs is retiring after 25 years of service to RES as, at the end of this year, the end of December. We've had one transfer. Jason Brown, who's a bus driver custodian at the middle school, has transferred to a position at the high school. We have several appointments for stipend positions, as you see on there, and some new hires. Megan LaChance has been hired as a special ed tech 3 in MES, and Alyssa McTire for an ed tech 2 at the middle school, Michelle Richardson for a special ed tech 3 at Hartford Sumner, and Samantha Patnode as a special ed tech 2 at Hartford Sumner. Also, Rossi Killinen, who retired last year, has come back to help us at Hartford Sumner, which is wonderful. And Sean Murphy has been hired as a part-time special ed clerical support at MES. Jennifer Jones, part-time bus driver in Nizinskit. And Robert, who goes by Eric Black, is a part-time custodian at Hartford Sumner Elementary. That was a case of, we took one of the positions that was a bus driver custodian, and we were able to hire by splitting up the position. So that was, just happened to be something that was helpful to us. And Ian Brennick has completed his 6-month probationary period at MES.
Thank you. Okay, we don't have any old business. Item 9, new business. Item 1, act to approve the superintendent's recommendation of Amy Gilbert as grade 3 teacher at Morobe Elementary School. Motion made by Peter. Seconded by Janet. Discussion? You have her resume in your packets.
Yep. So Amy I'm recommending her to fill one of the 3rd grade teaching positions that's open at MES. This opening was because the teacher in it, Jordan Vining, transferred to an interventionist position. Amy served as an Ed Tech 3 at MES for the last couple of years, but previous to that, she was a teacher at Chisholm, and she has her BA in early childhood ed, and she's working towards her master's degree. So she's excited, and we're excited to have her with us.
Any discussion, comments, or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion?
In favor.
Thank you, Chad. Darcy, available? Okay.
In favor.
All right, thank you, Darcy. That motion carries. Item 2, discussion on the latest plans regarding Mountain Valley Middle School. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, pass the resumes down, please.
So, yes. So I'm coming around, I'm gonna let Matt speak to this, and it can be pretty brief, but couple things we've been working on, more than a couple, but obviously we have gone to remote learning. It's not, I know people think for some reason that I'm happy that we've gone to remote learning, but I certainly am not. I would rather not go to remote learning, but it is something that we have done in the past. We have the equipment to do it for a short term, and that is why we're going to be talking at length tonight about where we can go so we can go back to in-person learning. But this, I wanted him to share with you what we came up for a plan for while we transition.
Thank you very much, Deb. And like Deb said, this is very much just a short-term plan. She's going to talk a little bit later about our priorities, making sure that we get every kid into in-person learning as quickly as possible, but also making sure that we take all the proper steps to set up some priorities and following those priorities. But this is the short-term plan to make sure that we continue to provide services for our kids and academic programming and some of the things that we took into consideration as we did that. And when I say we, I don't want it to sound, the we is includes a lot of different people lifting this, and that's everyone from middle school staff to Devin Roberts and Jeannie LaPointe and Brian Carrier. We had a lot of people work to try and get things up and running as quickly as possible. And even though we always strive to do our best, that we understand that this is not perfect, and that we were making changes just today, trying to make it a little bit better and more accessible. So I'll run through the list of what we've been able to do so far. So all classes were canceled for 3 days, and that's how we started. That was last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we gave staff and provided staff the opportunity to update their Google Classrooms and prepare for online lessons. There was an initial meeting in the auditorium with Mrs. Luce, Dr. Luce, and Deb, myself, and the staff, and we had a question and answer and made a presentation about what steps were taken and why they were taken and how we arrived at that. From there, space was created. We identified some of our most at-risk programs, and those are our alternative ed students and our life skills students. And we created space for in-person instruction for both of our life skills programs right here at Mountain Valley High School, and that will be their transition, and that's where we'll house those programs until they transition into Mountain Valley Community School. It meant that Tom and his staff had to be creative about where they would relocate some classrooms, but we do have those kids here, and we'll be starting up the life skills programs this week to make sure those services are provided. Space was also identified for alternative ed and to have in-person instruction. We're going over with our last meetings this week over at the Mexico Rec to look at the space that they have available, and it's the same space where Dan Hodge once taught alternative ed back in the day. So it's a familiar space, but good space. They've done a complete renovation of that building, and we'll be visiting there to preparing for that transition to get those kids back into in-person learning as soon as possible as well. There was a schedule including transportation and meals was developed to bring the 7th and 8th grade over here. We're in the middle of Maine for 1 day to complete the Maine through-year assessment. We were right in the middle of the Maine through-year assessment. We talked with the state, tried to identify what we had to complete for that. It was at that point in conversations with Mrs. Luce and with Deb that we felt that it was important to make sure that we continue to pursue that. So we'll be bringing in the 7th and 8th grade on separate days here to Mountain Valley High School, complete the Maine through-year assessment with those students, so we have that information to share with parents. And also work to try and identify spaces for any people who need special accommodations with the test. We're in touch with the Maine Department of Education about testing and and seeing what we can do within our window for any students who have to take makeup exams, or if there's any other circumstances that we need to pay attention to as well. So we're working with them. The staff reviewed and communicated the remote learning schedule and expectations with parents. They also worked within their classrooms, and we're really trying to take advantage of our Rooms program, which is an online communication. Brian and Renette also pushed out a notification to families to make sure that they're signed up for Rooms, and we saw a spike in registration for Rooms. And that's an online app that parents can use for communicating with staff and kind of two-way communications with the schools as well. I did not put that on there, but I should have. There will be live online classes which follow a daily schedule. That's been pushed out to parents. We've done it a couple of different times, and we've tried to provide some clarity as we move through. Our first day was today with live online classes. There were some hiccups. We've made adjustments, recommunicated with our families to make sure that they understood what the expectations were. We also communicated with our staff if we found that it was one or two situations with particular staff members. So definitely some open ears to try and make that a better system. All staff members are engaged in online learning. Our Andover students, Andover schools have agreed to provide additional supports for their students. It's been a nice working relationship with my predecessor, Leanne, and working with her to make sure those students are taken care of as well. Special education resource room services are being provided online so that we make sure that we're following all of our IEPs. Some Wi-Fi hotspots have been delivered to individual homes at parent request and really based on availability of what we have for resources. During 2020, we had a lot of hotspots that were provided to us by T-Mobile. Sometime around 2021, 2022, we had to return most of those hotspots. So we're taking an inventory of what we have for resources for parents who might need a hotspot to be able to participate in online education. So that's Brian's department jumping all of that. Also, Casey Flagg has reached out to some of our homeless families. She's our McKinney-Bento liaison dealing with homeless families. She's working with them to make sure that they have the resources that they need as well. You know, that's a vulnerable population within our schools. From there, a plan is developed to provide families with opportunities to receive meals. Jeannie's been working on that. She's working up some dates and times and communicating that to families as well. It looks like we'll have at least 2 pickup times for meals for families, and also looking at some drop-off opportunities. We do have some vans that are available, and we're looking at what we would have to do to set up an evening pickup for those working families who might not be able to pick up a meal during the school day. So Jeannie's working out she's ironing out all the wrinkles with that as well. And plans have been developed and communicated with families on our approach to complete fall sports. Mr. Pelletier is working on that, and fall sports will continue to happen. One of the lessons we learned from 2020 was the importance of the personal connection that kids have, and the role that our co-curricular and extracurriculars play with maintaining that connection. So Jeff has definitely worked to make sure that that's been a constant in those kids' lives. And social work services are also available to support our students. Our social workers and counselors have been reaching out to those families as well. This work, it was completed by Mountain Valley Middle School staff, led by Mrs. Luce, and RSU10 Central Office. We had a lot of very key, very important players to help develop that, and also make sure that we were thinking about as many things as we can, as many aspects of a child's education. Again, this is not a perfect plan, and this will continue to be refined and become a little bit better and a little bit better as we move forward. But this is only our temporary fix to bridge that gap between the time when we had to close the schools, the time when we can move into a facility where it's when it's in-person learning again. So, any questions that you might have? Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay. Brian, can you put the other one up? Okay, thank you. So, we met, I think it was, I'm losing track of days, but first thing Wednesday morning, the administrators met and came up with what our priorities were for coming back to in-person learning. Well, our number one priority is to come back to in-person learning. And you can see on this list some of the things that were important to the majority of people, to be within our community, keeping grade levels together with the special ed support for the grade level, obviously safety, technology, transport, and food. We have to look at those things and how many, how many different places do you go to, and how is that going to affect different, how does transportation affect different people's schedules, etc. Ease of temporary conversion, availability of up to 14 months. Have requested a first week in November. I've requested that. They're considering it to see if they could move some resources to making that happen for us. Keep as many students together as possible, either by hybrid or rotating schedules. Move quickly in a smart way, making sound decisions. So we're trying to do it as quickly as we can, but obviously we have to follow laws and rules and regulations so anyways, so ideas for places to use. We brainstormed, and if you look at this page, you'll see some things that are crossed out on the other side, but we brainstormed almost every area anybody could think of in Mexico and Rumford that might possibly have space available that could possibly be made appropriate. So there's a lot that we looked at. People gave us ideas. It was great. People were, came out with ideas, and so we looked at everything, found, tried to get answers and what came up with different things. So I'll just share some of the ideas. We have already, as Matt described, is we moved 2 of the special ed programs from the middle school to this building. They will stay here until we can move into the new school. And I think that will work. I talked with one of the teachers today, and she seemed pretty, happy about being able to get stuff settled. The custodians have been awesome, helping with the moving items and getting things set up. And I can't thank Mr. Danlick enough for the help finding the space and people relocating and moving things, and it's been great. River Valley Rec, we're going to have the alternative ed program in there because we do have the high school alternative ed program in there as well. So we're working on getting that off the ground this week. We talked about using this high school, every part of the high school that we could, where there aren't currently students. The areas include the shop, the weight room, the bus garage, moving the bus garage to the town garage. I think the real concern there was the cleaning, the air quality, the leftover oil, tires, fumes down in that bus garage. That really concerns me, but it doesn't mean it can't be done. It just sounds like a big tall order. But moving central office out of here, which includes nutrition, transportation, technology, and storage, also down in that wing, as well as the wing where central office is. We'd have to, we'd lease space, which, as you'll see on this list, there are spaces that could be leased, but they're more office spaces than they are spaces for classrooms. So that probably could be done. We were concerned with how long it would take, particularly the areas that have a lot of stuff, potential dirt in them. But it was left on the list. Double sessions in this current school. We thought about you have to do 5-hour shifts to do a double session, and what that does is that in my mind that changes things for not just Mountain Valley Middle School but also Mountain Valley High School. And it means 6, I was trying to count it out, it means 6 different bus runs, because you've got your elementary schools on bus runs like they are, and then you'd have 2 more and 2 more bus runs for whoever went 7 to 12 and whoever went 1 to 6 or 12 to 6, 12 to 5, or however we did it. The positives of that, I guess, are, getting the biggest use of this school that we possibly could. But it does mean a lot of rearranging for many, many people, because that's 2 schools of people, that's parents, and when kids are in school and when they're not in school, having to look at that. But we talked about it and we put it on the table. There is space in 49 Congress Street that is ADA accessible. It will pass environmental, but it would be more like an option for, like I said, the central offices. We looked at the basement of the Apostolic Church. We toured the basement area where there's classrooms, and on the first floor there are classrooms that they use for Sunday school. So the question was, could maybe the smallest 2 grades from the middle school move there? That was a maybe. We also looked at the Mexico Police Building, which was a former elementary school. could potentially house the other 2 grades. It would have to be mostly there. If the classrooms are there, you just have to clean out the areas. Then there were a couple floors, other floors that were in the Congress Street area that we could potentially use for office spaces. Their concern was there's counseling and treatment centers there on other different floors. And then there's some other, so really there are some places that have good office space, but not necessarily. And then we went to see this up at 1180 Route 2 in Rumford. It's owned by Clint Bradbury. And it used to be, if people are old enough, the Mammoth Mart. And I guess maybe Zayres, I don't know if that's where Zayres was,
Yeah.
but. Oh, okay, so it was the Mammoth Mart. And Clint bought that property, and the end of it, which was that store, he has done an immaculate renovation. It's totally renovated, every area of it. It's like, and even with the big open space, and then they've got, and I don't know if Brian has the pictures, he took some, but they've got like offices also built in it. And, you know, we took Carrie and Laura, the administrators, and Brian and Devin and myself, and Matt was there, and, well, you were there. And it really felt like the best way to bring everybody together. And I had experience with that down when we had to move Green Central School, and we used the old Walmart in Auburn, and it was similar to that. And it's not a perfect situation, but it does bring. I know Carrie Luce was very excited about the opportunity to have all the kids together. So that looked like a real potential, and we were looking to draw up a lease. Leah was looking into that, and Clint was having his attorney look at that. But we know that we need to get clearance from the state fire marshal, and actually we would need to get that even if we used our bus garage, you know, anything we use that we change to set it up for this. We are going to have to get the state fire marshal's approval. We need to get, so we kind of need to get the advice, like what do we need to do, and then we need to do it, and then get the approval. So they sent me the documents today on what has to be completed and filled out. And Harriman has offered to help us with that. They want to go up and see the building, and they would help us do that. So I think we have to be really cautious I want to move forward as fast as we can, and we were like, all of us, we were like gung-ho. We have a whole list of, okay, what are the things we need to do to get the show on the road and get it done? But we need answers to these questions about it's sprinkled. That building up there has a whole sprinkler system, which is awesome. So there's a lot of really good parts to it, but we just are going to have to get approval, and that's what I'm just concerned about timing. I have reached out to the Department of Ed, the commissioner and the assistant commissioner, to see if they can help, push things along. I've also asked, just so you folks know, I've also asked if with the new school contingency budget, if that would help us pay for any of this, because if when we got the school and we're preparing the budget for the new school, if we knew we weren't going to be able to stay in our current schools the whole entire time, part of that cost could have gone, part. The cost of relocating while we built the school could have been put into it, but we didn't know that. And so I've asked if they would consider using contingency funds for the cost of relocating. So I haven't gotten an answer yet. But also on this list, we've been told that we can use the Seventh-day Adventist school building in Dixfield. Again, I haven't looked at that yet, so I don't know what that looks like. I know some people were concerned about being out of the community, but it's on here. Bob Boren, is that how you say his name? Yeah, Frosty Delight. I mean, he's like, I'll leave it on. You can, 24 people, one classroom could go down there. That was very, very nice of him. And I know people have reached out, the basement of the Methodist Church in Mexico, and just some other ideas that we haven't checked out yet. Windorosa is empty. Apparently that's in Peru. That's a big building that's in Peru. I know nothing about it. RSU 56 has said they would take a grade level between their two buildings. Again, it's out of our district. There's a big open space in the top of the town office in Rumford. And multiple people. The other thing somebody mentioned was to bring trailers onto this site. And for the students that are still here, I'll share this. It was suggested to me that we could put trailers around this site, and I said, well, what about the parking? And they said, well, you could tell the students to take buses for the year. I knew enough to know that that was not going to fly too well. So, but anyways, it's great to have the brainstorming process go on because we need that for ideas. And I won't go through them all, but on the back of this sheet is all things that we looked into that for one reason or another, we said no.
When you're speaking to your mic.
So before I learned everything I learned about that from the fire chief regarding what the state fire marshal might request, I really thought, and those of us, well, the whole group that was working on this, really thought we could pull it off by November 8th so that on November 12th we could be in-person learning up there in the facility I spoke of. I don't know now. I really don't know, because I don't know how much that they will. I mean, I think we've got help. Landry French has offered to help. They know people that can do things for us. Harriman's they'll be up here on Thursday up at the building site to help us see what they think would need to be done. But I don't know. I don't, when you're relying on state agencies, I don't know. I hate to get, it's very disappointing, but I don't know. But I think that on this list, I'd like to hear, from a school board standpoint, I'd like to hear your thoughts about the different ideas that we've come up with. But I do know that both Carrie and myself, Devin, we were, everybody like Jeannie for food, when you hear you have a possibility of bringing all of them together in one spot, that is just really, really helpful, because your resources, you have your resources in one place, and you're delivering kids to one setting, you're delivering food to one setting, you're, versus 4 or 3 or whatever, but.
Bonnie?
So the alt ed is already here?
No,
Or
all,
already at the
well, they're not already there. They're getting ready to get over there. We're hoping by the end of the week they're over there.
I personally am hoping that we get up to Bradbury's.
Okay.
I think we all are. Go ahead, Allison.
I would agree. I think looking at the priorities list that that was made, especially number 2 being within our community, I think we need to be looking at something in this community. Certainly having everyone together, I think, is ideal, especially since it sounds like the staff was very enthusiastic about that, the option of keeping everyone together. I just lost it. If I had to pick a second choice, I guess it would be the 2 grades in each location, the Apostolic Church and the Mexico Police Building. And I was gonna say something else and now it's gone, but definitely having everyone together in our community, in this community, sounds like the best possible. Oh, and what I was gonna say is I wouldn't want to do something that would require us to move them twice. Like, I don't, like, hopefully we'd go just from remote learning into whatever the plan is until the new building is open. I don't know what things need to happen at this large building or whatever, but I'd be interested if 2 moves had to happen. I don't know. I don't know if we would prefer remote learning or, but that was just one of my thoughts.
Any other questions on the board?
I would just like to know, when did this initially come before the administration, central office? I don't see it as really coming before the board. I went back through the building, grounds, and transportation meeting minutes, and I went back through our full board minutes, just trying to understand when did this all start. I don't remember having a discussion that we were going to have to do testing in there. I don't see that reflected in the meeting minutes as a discussion. I don't remember seeing it in the Building, Grounds, and Transportation Committee meeting minutes either, that we had complaints of air quality testing that needed to be addressed. And I went back through all of them for like a year. I did see last year at this time, September 20th, 2023, that Devin had discussed over at the Mountain Valley Middle School the air exchange, and I'm wondering, is that, like, when we hear about reports of complaints of mold being a year ago, was that brought up at that Building, Grounds, and Transportation Committee meeting almost a year ago, September 20th? And to follow that, I saw that the full board meeting had taken place just after that as well. Because I see in our book here, the duties of the school board, that our second duty of the school board under statute is that we, as a board, are responsible for the management of the schools and shall provide for their custody and care, including repairs on school buildings and all school property. And then when I look at the duties of a superintendent, I see the second duty being that the superintendent gives an annual report of the inspection of the schools. And that report is given to, an accurate report of the condition of school facilities is given to each school board member. Was that given in the last year so that we would have a full understanding of what's going on with this mold report? I can see that Devin did come before us and give an administrative report.
No, it did not.
if that had happened at that point in time, would there have been air quality testing that would have been done throughout the year?
Well, there's been air
Perhaps-
quality testing over the years, probably even before my time here, just so you know that.
Yeah.
There was mold mitigation in the main office there in, I think, I had Devin look back, I think it was in 2018. And that is most likely the main reason in 2017 the application for a new school was made. Whenever in the past, the first testing this year in 2024 that I know about was done in May, June area, and Devin went forward and ordered that. I didn't tell him to order that. He went forward and ordered that. I agree that he should have ordered it. But we've ordered it before too, so I'm not sure what you're asking that has to do with being in that building or not. I did make the decision along with talking with the hygienic engineer or whatever his title is, and Devin and Carrie, that not to go back in that building. I did make that decision, yes, not to go back, and I didn't wait for the board meeting, and I didn't wait for the BGT meeting. So, I mean, I don't know if that's what you're trying to, and I'll get you everything because we've had a couple different people ask for all the information. So we will get the information and you can look through it all.
So my concern is that this decision to close Mount Valley Middle School didn't involve the board, and that surprises me. And we can see in the Building Grounds and Transportation Committee meeting minutes over July 22nd, August 14th, September 16th, there's discussions that are taking place about this.
Because we were trying to mitigate it. We were following directions from the company and we were trying to mitigate it. And when we agreed to have the follow-up testing, which was done on September 25th, and it came back and we had them follow up, when they came back and talked to us about the follow-up, I was like, no way we're going back in there. We're not gonna make kids go back in there. We're not gonna make people go back in there and stay for any length of time. So that's on me.
Did you send out?
Absolutely.
She called me immediately. And this is another example of why we can't always wait 2 weeks to have a board meeting to make a decision, Kristen. So the process went, we followed Sevy and Mar's recommendations all the way through this. We tore up carpet, we closed off rooms, we did what was said to be done in order to make the school safe. They did another follow-up test. I got a call saying I can't put kids in that school. And that was the decision that had to be made. So going forward, decisions have to be made on where to put the children. And that's maybe where the ball got dropped because she had other things to do.
Well, and I sent that out to
And she
everybody.
sent out a memo to all the board members as to what she was doing.
Yeah. And I just, that's gonna come first. It has to.
The premise of my argument is that if we had done the testing and the kind of testing that was done in August and comparatively to September, that if we had done that truly at late spring at the latest, we would have had all summer long to be in this situation right now determining what to do. But when we look at the test in June and compare
It's not true.
from what the
Don't interrupt, I'm sorry.
The test in June, when I look at the specifics of it, is just a handful of places that were being tested. It took 2 more months, June to July, July to August. It took 2 more months, roughly, maybe 6 weeks, to get specific locations tested, which came back moderate. And then in September, those same locations were tested, and they were moderate to high, or 3 of them were high. I'm saying if this amount of testing had been taking place late spring at the latest, we would have had the entire summer to really sit in this situation to determine what to be doing. That is why I'm asking, when did the first when was it first made aware by staff and student concerns that this kind of testing needed to be taking place so that we wouldn't be making decisions flying by the seat of our pants? And I am concerned about the board not being involved. In the newspaper just yesterday, we see our neighboring district who has a lawsuit coming against it because of the questionable board not being involved in the closure of Agnes Gray's school. If you haven't seen it, you need to take a look at it.
I've read it.
So I'm concerned that our board was not involved in that. This is a very large decision. If the second duty of the school board is about the management of our facilities, why are we not involved in this decision? Why are we not being brought up to speed about what the condition of our buildings really is? Thank you.
Okay. Darcy?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say that I share the same concerns that Kristen is expressing. And I'd also like to know, at what point was there correspondence sent home to the parents?
I didn't get that, Darcy. Could you repeat that, please?
At what point was there communication sent to the parents about the condition with the school? Were there memos sent to the parents about it? Were there updates shared with the parents by email or anything like that?
Yes,
Yes.
I have them.
And you
several.
have records of that?
I have several that I've sent out. They're
Would
public.
you be
They're on
able
our
to
website.
share those with us? Or with me?
Certainly, I always put school board on them too, but yeah,
Okay.
certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Allison?
I think certainly, and knowing the staff in the district, the whole thing will be looked at in terms of when were things known and what the plan was, just in the interest of learning from what's happened. But I want to emphasize that, at least as far as I'm concerned, if there is a student safety issue that can't wait 2 weeks, we better be making that decision ASAP. Like, we are here to do what's best for kids and students, and that is not spending 2 extra weeks in a building that's dangerous to wait for a school board meeting. So I think it's perfectly within, there's a lot of management of facilities that goes on without school board approval. And I certainly would hope that in a safety situation that, we're talking now, we're informed, we've been informed, but certainly I would never want kids to be in a dangerous situation for the sake of waiting for a school board meeting.
Bonnie?
I think there's a lot of frustration because people have been sick, because people have been made to feel like they're crazy, because Carrie was worried about her staff and the students so much, because there was some just plain common sense decisions that weren't made. And that just one is, I'm gonna say it again, the damn rug. The rug in the room that the walls go back. Those kind of things make it really hard to be okay with the way things went, I have been there. I was there all summer long, in and out of that school all summer long. I was thrilled to see the floor come up, but just the basic science around mold, you just know that it's going to grow in certain areas. So there's a certain amount of frustration, obviously. This isn't the first time you've heard me talk about the rugs. So if I'm frustrated about it, imagine how the people that are trying to learn and teach feel.
Okay. Any other board member comments before we move on? All right. Item 3 is act on the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Issuance of a $125,265 bus bond be adopted in form presented to this meeting.
I move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Issuance of a $125,265 bus bond be adopted in form presented to the meeting.
Second.
Janet, did you second that? Thank you. Okay, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
In favor.
Darcy?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 4, act on the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Issuance of a $124,000 bus bond to be adopted in form presented in this meeting.
I move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Issuance of a $124,000 bus bond be adopted in form presented to the meeting.
So moved, seconded.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
In favor.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 5, act on the first reading of ACAB harassment of and sexual harassment of school employees. Motion made by Allison, seconded by Janet. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
I have a question.
Darcy, go ahead.
Yes. Can you tell me again why this was held back to committee?
It wasn't held back from committee. It wasn't ready for last time, even though we had talked about it at the policy meeting. It just wasn't ready for the meeting, which was like the next day or the next.
Can you remind me why that was again?
Why what?
Why it wasn't ready?
Because I didn't have time that night. I stayed here till 10 o'clock getting them ready for the packet, and I didn't have time to get that one ready.
Oh. Okay, so is this a Title IX change also?
It was whatever we decided at the policy committee on September 18th.
That's what I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it's from September 18th. It just wasn't ready for the September 23rd meeting.
In favor.
Thank you, Chad.
Yes. This is one of the ACAB is, correct.
Title IX.
It's one of the, yes.
Okay. No.
Okay, I will ask again. All in favor of the motion?
In
Opposed?
favor.
All right, looks like 3 opposed. Darcy, Ed, and Kristen. Ed. Okay, I think that passes. Item 6, act on the second reading of AC-Non-Discrimination, Equal Opportunity and Affirmative Action, Title IX. Motion made by Allison, seconded by Janet. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
In favor.
Opposed?
No.
4 opposed. Are we good on that?
Yep.
Okay. Item 7, that motion passes. Item 7, act on the second reading of ACAA, Harassment of Students, Title IX. Motion made by Dan, seconded by Peter. Discussion?
Can you hear me? This is the policy that I was trying to speak to last time, where I was requesting information as to why the legal references to the Clery Act and the Violence Against Women Act was removed, and would like to pose the question to our policy chairperson as to whether we did in fact get an answer on that.
I got an answer on it, but I'll let her speak.
Since I was not at the last policy meeting due to a family emergency, I defer to Deb.
So it was explained to me that both of those ones that you just mentioned, the Clery Act and the other one, are now embedded into the policy itself. And that is why they don't separately, I mean, this is what the attorney told me. That's why it's not separately a legal reference, because it's actually within the policy.
Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion?
In favor.
All opposed?
No.
4 opposed. Ed, Kristen, Aaron, and Darcy oppose. Everybody else is in favor. I believe that passes. Item 8, act on the second reading of JIE-Pregnant Students Title IX. Motion made by Bonnie, seconded by Allison. Discussion? Any questions? Seeing none. All in favor?
In favor.
Opposed?
No.
You have the same 4 opposed. I believe that motion will carry. Okay. Item 10, board member comments. Janet.
I just want to say thank you to Deb and Greg and Matt and all of you that have worked so hard to get this Mountain Valley Middle School situation in a better position than it's in right now. I know there's a lot of work ahead of you, but sometimes it's hard to pivot and put aside all the other duties that you have to do on a daily basis and get to this, and I appreciate what you've done.
Thank you. Any other? Aaron?
So I've been on the board for a little over a year now, and I've witnessed and experienced myself notable amounts of disrespect for board members as well as staff members, such as rude comments, expressive body language, sidebar conversations during board meetings, or inappropriate comments that aren't related to board meetings. So I just want to urge everyone to commit to setting a positive example for students.
Thank you, Aaron.
I do want to apologize, Janet. I did not think that you were the policy chair. I forgot that, and so my condolences for your family emergency. I have my second comment. I did notice that driving by Hartford Sumner Elementary School again today, the light is still not working, and I wondered if we had an update on if the Department of Transportation has given our Building Grounds and Transportation Director an answer as to what will be taking place.
They haven't told me, no.
Okay.
Okay. Item 11, executive session, and I will make a motion to go into executive session to speak with our superintendent on a personnel matter. Any discussion? All in favor? So, okay, we'll clear the room and we'll go into executive session for a few minutes and we'll do that.